Now, it's been nearly a month and a half of the war in Ukraine, and there are no signs of it ending anytime soon. Now, Russia continues to bomb cities and residential areas, even after the latest global condemnation for the Bucha massacre. Now, in the suburbs of capital Kyiv, this is the latest. The bombings and the attacks continue. On the contrary, Russia has accused Ukraine of staging false events in Bucha. But whatever be the narrative, it does not change the fact that the situation on ground is tense and grim. Now, according to the British Ministry of Defense, heavy fighting and airstrikes continue in the southern port city of Mariupol. Meanwhile, Ukraine also claims that the Russian troops are focusing on an aggressive operation which is aimed at establishing complete control over the two areas, Donetsk as well as Luhansk, which is in the east of Ukraine. Now, Russian forces have also set up sheds in the outskirts of Bucha to take rest and repair their artilleries. Now, Times Network's Deepak brings us this report.
This was probably an area that was used for the Russians to take rest, repair their armory, repair their weapons. You can see even here the green boxes, the Russian boxes that they've got with them and dumped it all over. And this particular shed served as a place where they were cooking, probably having some discussions. You can even now see utensils lying all around. You can, of course, see some canned food, and those boxes that we've seen spread out in various places which have, the Russian symbol on them, that's supplied by the military, which have, highly nutritious food that helps really the soldiers to survive for long periods of time, water bottles and everything that they would really need to stay here for several days together. Now, this is one particular shed. You can still see some fresh vegetables as well that they've gotten hold of, still remains in this particular box. Apart from that, let me show you another area. Now they couldn't, of course, use this particular part of the shed because there was a vehicle in it and it's quite heavy to be moved. You can see some sort of repair work of some of their artillery as well probably was carried out here. And inside this particular room, several soldiers, in fact, probably could have been sleeping together. You can see a lot of bedding and a lot of other items that still remains in this particular place. And this, like I mentioned, served as a very, very critical area for the Russians because they were far away from the towns where the gun battle was going on. From here, they could take some rest, repair their weapons, and also, using the places that we showed you, fire at will into the towns nearby.
Now, Times Network's Deepak brings us this report from the outskirts of capital Kyiv, where a civilian area has come under a heavy shelling by Russia, leaving a trail of death and destruction. Take a look.
Now, the darkest side of war, of course, is the civilian casualties. We are standing in Warsaw, another satellite town near Kyiv, and a house here, of course, has sustained immense damage. And you can see all around me a shell that landed right here at the entry point to the house has damaged the front portion, the vehicles around. And what was tragic here to note is that one of the civilians who was here was severely injured. He had his wife with him. He, of course, tried to take some sort of cover, expecting more firing or any sort of shelling. And he, of course, was in this particular room where his body still remains. As now we come with several teams of the defense personnel, the police, who are right now scouting these areas to locate if there are any civilians left behind. It's very tragic to see that, he couldn't find help in the right time and, of course, couldn't move away from here because there was fighting happening all around.
Yeah, it's a real tragedy for family, for all neighbors, for house owner, for for the city of Warsaw and all Ukraine. Real tragedy. Unfortunately, this man is not alone. So a lot of civil casualties we have here in Warsaw, in Bucha, in Irpin, and hundreds and thousands cities and villages all over Ukraine.
Mm-hmm. Well, like he was mentioning, it's in fact definitely tragic, and more importantly, while we of course are not going to show you these images which are quite disturbing, it looks like, after sustaining severe injuries, there were people who tried to help him. There is some sort of bandaging as well on him. But of course, with the situation here and the shelling that continued, there was no escape from this particular place.